COVID-19 lockdown has meant nearly all normally face-to-face meetings, educational programs and conferences had to either cancel or move online. As the saying goes, a picture tells 1,000 words, but rather than tell people you can deliver programs, keynotes or facilitate meetings virtually, lifestyle photographer and storytelling strategist John DeMato thought, why not show clients? As a former television producer with over 19 years of production experience, John is featured as a lifestyle photography expert on several NBC Universal daytime talk and reality shows. He's translated these experiences to the storytelling strategy work he does with clients. John sets his clients up for success beyond the traditional portrait sessions by educating them on how to best leverage their image content for their websites, social channels, bios, publications, presentations, advertisements, and various other needs. You know, the fancy stuff. So today I want to welcome John DeMato, a professional photographer and lifestyle portrait strategist. Welcome, John.
Well, thank you for having me, Don. I'm here for the accent, to be honest with you. I missed it.
That's awesome. I'll just keep talking. So let's get straight into things, because I wanted to create this video with some short, sharp questions that people are probably wondering right now about, in particular, virtual photography, but also want to expand and ask you a few more questions. So is it okay if I just get started?
It is okay if you get started. Let's do it.
So first question I wanted to ask, John, is why should you not just use normal headshots and tell clients you do virtual presentations or facilitate virtual meetings?
Well, one of the reasons why that doesn't work is because people right now, first of all, people have been working virtually for years, okay? This is not a brand new thing. However, the influx of all the speakers and trainers that have really not done much virtual training has really flooded the landscape, all different spaces of expertise. So meeting planners and bureaus and all these people that are looking to hire professional speakers and trainers need to know that you have experience on a screen and not just on stage. So one of the ways to create that social proof is by creating an image content portfolio that you can actually share with your content that talks about the virtual experience you give your audience. Plus, it shows it. When you put up a photo of you working at a co-working space or you're in front of 1,000 people, that doesn't resonate with people right now. In fact, it looks a bit tone deaf because we can't do that right now. So that's why it's important to have virtual shots.
Wonderful. So why should speakers have images of themselves presenting virtually, like professional ones? Isn't it just okay to just get maybe a screenshot of all those faces of people just adoring you and throwing virtual high fives and thumbs up to you?
Yeah. Well, it's the same thought that goes behind investing in lifestyle portraits and live event photography. Could you have someone in the audience take a photo with an iPhone or another kind of smartphone? Sure. Could someone that's a cousin that has a nice camera take a picture of you? Yeah, you could. Or you can hire someone that can take images that will encapsulate your personality, allow the audience to see the type of experience that they will have with you in a virtual environment, and kind of get people excited about the whole thing. And that's the key component to that is by bringing people in, and you bring them in through this type of photography.
I guess too, there's a creative aspect to it, and as much as many of us like to think we're, creative masterminds, you only see yourself through a certain lens. Yep. And a professional photographer who is totally disconnected to you and your business has a way of seeing things that you don't see. I guess it's like saying to somebody, or somebody saying to you, I see this, and you go, oh my God, that's a blinding flash of the obvious. Why didn't I see it?
Well, what you're used to when you look in the mirror is exactly the thing that you've been staring at your whole life. And you think based on that experience that you know your angles. You know what looks best on you. But what you don't take into account is the fact that, there are people out there who have that specific, like myself as a professional photographer, I have that ability to see a certain thing that you might not see and then be able to draw that out of you. And the other thing about it is that it's also about making you comfortable enough in front of the camera so that you can produce those kinds of photos. That's a whole other piece, psychological component to get you out of your head and in the moment. That's another thing that a professional photographer can afford you.
Yeah, it makes you look natural as opposed to it looking staged or crafted or something that you've done because you know that there's a camera there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So what have you found is the most common mistake that people make when hiring a photographer, especially when they're looking at virtual photography?
Well, one of the things that I've seen, to be honest with you, I've seen very little professional virtual photography out there aside from myself, and it's not because I've not been looking for it, because I see speaker that I haven't worked with virtually, all, you know. But what I have seen is that there is this, and I've seen this 2 or 3 times, there's this undying need to be completely straight on, shooting the screen flat, and that's it. And I've seen it on more than, if they use their cell phone, they're holding the cell phone direct, so that there's no dynamic quality to the shot. There's no interesting perspective or anything of an artistic and aesthetic turn to the shots that makes them more compelling than simply, hey, look, I'm on a screen or I'm on a laptop, and that's pretty much it. So one of the issues that I've seen there is a lack of artistry.
Wow. Well, you know, I guess that's why it's so advantageous to engage someone who's creative. I guess I can liken it a bit to doesn't matter what business you're in, and finances may be tight when you're first starting out a business, but reality is it's not good to do everything yourself. You know, it's like getting somebody to create a website for you. There's a sense of disconnection, and you need somebody with the technical ability to be able to take what messaging you're trying to create and be able to visually present that in a photograph. And that's something that we can't be good at everything, can we?
Right, right. Well, the thing about it is that it's just simply a matter of finding a way that you can really, it's all of that artistry I speak of has one goal. It's to show off and draw all the attention to the speaker, to the presenter, to the audience, to the slide, to whatever it is. It's about the client. It's about providing them something that will inspire their audience to stop the scroll and like, oh, what's that? And then read the caption and follow through on that call to action, you know, on social, or if it's on their website. Oh, there's a certain level of aesthetic here that's really interesting. It's drawing me in. I want to read more. Next thing I know, I'm on the phone with the person booking them for the event. That's the whole point of this.
Yep.
And, you know, so.
So before we started our recording, you mentioned that you've been doing photography for virtual events. And, you know, that's got me really curious. How is a virtual photo shoot, whether it be individual, and you know, I have to lodge a disclaimer here that I've actually had a virtual shoot with John, and it was amazing. But that's a story for another day. So conferences, as well as the one-to-one or getting online at somebody's conference and taking images that present a creative element and really capture the essence of the event in much the same way as you would do live. How is a virtual photo shoot different for you and for others in comparison to face-to-face?
It's pretty damn weird, actually. I've done over 80 of these things, and it's still, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. It's the same eye, it's the same timing, it's the same goals, it's the same everything. The only difference is rather than being in a room or conducting a portrait session one-on-one with someone, I'm in my apartment shooting a laptop on a folding table in various rooms of my apartment as I roll around on the floor in shorts or sweatpants. So, excuse me. But at the end of the day, the objective is the same. The key to make this thing really interesting, other than that, the other thing that's kind of really strange is how much I have to actually change on the screen. It's like going full screen, going here, making sure I get this, making sure I get that. But it's, even though it's a different way to do it, it's my shot sheet, so to speak. So it's still running in my mind as I do in live events or live portrait sessions, running through the litany of things that I have to capture, and it's just a different way to do it.
And I guess too, it's a bit like musicians. People say, well, I've got Bruce Springsteen's album, I don't need to go and see him do a concert. Boom, mind-blowing. Of course you do, because it's all about those other elements. And I guess when we're talking virtually, unless people have really experienced a virtual conference or a virtual event, they have a very narrow and blinkered view about what that looks like and just how creative and engaging it can be. And I guess the photography is a great way of taking that experience and pulling that all in and encapsulating it in an image, because as I said in our introduction, a picture tells 1,000 words.
Yeah, and the key is really it's audience experience. It's about them understanding what they're getting into, because this is strange. It's not what we're built for as humans. We're not wired to communicate exclusively through a screen, but we are. And, for me, applause is now replaced by exclamation points in the chat box, or a Q&A or a mic moment, or talking. It's all replaced in the chat box, the way that people connect in the gallery mode. All of these new ways to communicate, it still harkens back to what we do in real life, but it's a digital way in which to do it.
And I'm guessing too, this, whilst in the COVID-19 lockdown period, this was the only way we could communicate, because we were in lockdown around the world. My guess is, when things eventually release and we go back to what will become whatever it looks like as our new way of doing business moving forward, I am 100% confident that the virtual element is going to form part of what the new offering looks like, what our new engagement piece looks like. Would you have a similar opinion?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm currently working on some stuff that incorporates virtual photography and branded lifestyle portraiture, which is what the lifestyle photography that I do, that includes headshots for my speaker clients. And one of the things that I really want to kind of stress to speakers and trainers across the board is that they realize that in order to encapsulate that brand, that true brand that shows all aspects of their life, virtual is something that has never really been, other than the snapshots and the screen grabs, that's all that's been incorporated. And one of the big things I want to work on is incorporating that into my normal offerings.
Awesome. I want to talk about that in a moment, but I have one more question I want to ask before we come round to that.
Sure.
And that is, what opportunities do you think are being missed when speakers, or it could be business people who are looking at just photographs of themselves professionally, what do you think people are missing out on when they aren't leveraging professional photography?
They're not able, when you just, again, go with the cousin that has the camera, or you're taking selfies, there's a certain level of aesthetics that we talked about before that you're missing out on. And the other thing that we talked about with regard to allowing you to be comfortable in front of the camera because of the photographer that inspires you to do so, you're missing out on that. But the other thing is that across your entire online presence, there will be inconsistencies at every touch point, because you're going to get a couple snapshots from this person, a couple snapshots from your phone, a couple snaps over here, and there's no continuity. There's no the level of emotion across the emotional spectrum that you show through your expressions and illustrating your personality will not be fully realized because you're just getting stuff, you're piecemealing it rather than making it an actual priority and leveraging it in a consistent manner. So
or a
you'll miss out on that.
strategy. Or a
Exactly.
strategy. Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice, John. So I want to ask you finally, you talked before about a new concept that you're working on, because primarily before all of this, you were doing heavily into the lifestyle portrait photography that had been considered maybe the traditional stuff, as well as using and leveraging that to help people build a brand or storytelling through their images. Tell me a little more about what you're working on at the moment as your next big thing.
Right. The next big thing, yes. In addition to shooting 7,000 more of these virtual events. And that's the thing. As I mentioned before, I'm looking to actually integrate the virtual photography into live event photography. God knows when that's going to be, but eventually we're going to get back to that. And branded lifestyle portraiture to create an offer that has everything. And I'm focusing it around the concept of creating, of motivating and inspiring and helping my speaker trainer clients to create an emotional connection with their audience through persuasive visual storytelling that inspires their audience to care, connect, and take action. Because as I just mentioned before about the consistency, that is a huge challenge that trainers have. So one of the things that I want to work on is to be able to illustrate all aspects of their life, their home life, their business, all the different tentacles of their business, be it in person or on virtual, and just bring everything together under one umbrella, put it all in one portfolio, and kind of work with them to make sure that they leverage the best images for the job that they need, whether it's profile images or social content or their website, images for podcasts, things of that nature.
Awesome. Look, I know we could talk for absolute hours, but where's the place for people to go if they want to connect with you? Maybe they want to organise a virtual photo shoot.
Yep.
Maybe they want you to shoot their next virtual event, or perhaps, they're watching this after we've sort of started to come out of lockdown and they want to come and do a live session with you, because you're based in Astoria, is that right?
That is Astoria, Queens, yes.
In New York City. So if anyone's wanted to visit the Big Apple as a tax deduction, mind you, disclaimer, see your accountant first, then that would be a great opportunity.
Or you could fly me to Australia, which would be even better. But that's just
anywhere in the world.
Anywhere.
You're open. Yeah.
Exactly. The best place to find me, very easy, johndemato.com. And I have, right on my homepage, I have the information for the virtual photography, and that's pretty much it.
Well, fantastic. Look, it's been great to talk to you. As I said, I had an amazing virtual experience with the photography session with you, and I wanted to create something that could share that information not only with my connections here in Australia, but also enable you to just let people know and answer some of those common questions people might have around virtual photography or storytelling photography in any way. So thanks so much for your time, John. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure was all on this side of the Zoom chat.